Welcome to Champagne Sunday. I'm Lauren.
Hey, I'm Bonnie.
I'm Beth.
And we're going to talk about life
After divorce.
And living
The best life.
and the life you love.
Yes, living the life you love on that other side.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome. How do we keep moving forward? Once school starts, we're all on the cusp of school starting in our lives becoming chaos again. So how do we continue to move forward in our lives towards our goals, especially our artistic goals, when everything around us is calling our attention away? It's a really easy time to quit caring for ourselves. It's an easy time to quit looking forward to our goals and moving forward in other ways. Is that a good way to put that?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I've had like a semester in the summer of shows for me personally and artistically and professionally. So I think it's been 8. Like,
oh my gosh.
After we open tomorrow, it will be 8 shows since January. So the good thing for me is that this next year, my season is not nearly as packed. So I get to, after tomorrow night, I get to take a little bit of like rest.
You're going
from
to
treading
actually
boards.
have a breath at the beginning of school.
Yes.
Instead of being chaotic.
I said to somebody the other day, I'm going to just get to do my job for a minute, like just my job. And that's not what my life has looked like really recently. So that's, yeah. And then just like getting my house in order and, you know, those kind of little things that make you feel like you can accomplish more.
Well, and you'll transition back to a school schedule with your parenting agreement.
Right. Which I like a lot better. Summer
that'll help a lot.
So I hate summer. I don't hate summer in general. Summer's good. You get a little bit of flexibility, but I have a week on, week off custody agreement in the summer, and that has been difficult to not see him for 7 days. Has been really hard. So I like the 5-day situation that we have during the school year. It's a lot more manageable, I think, probably for him and for me. I don't know how his father feels about it, but
Yeah. Well, and then you, Beth, you have one going back to high school, but she can drive now. That'll be a whole new thing.
She's driving now, so that's a new thing. So getting all the paperwork in for parking slot and all that is. But I think mine is different because she was off for summer, but I was not off.
Mm-hmm.
So I just keep doing the grind. But I don't know. I think I've started making lists of things that need to happen before we start this. We've got not quite 2 weeks.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works. She's gonna go straight back into it's gonna be football season with cheer and all that. So we've got all that to do too. So
that's my dishwasher.
It's like something is beeping.
I thought it was a smoke alarm for a second.
I don't know. I just think, every day I have to make a conscious decision to move forward because,
Well, so is it, so you kind of went on vacation. Your vacation was not terribly successful because of the fabulous airlines. You get to do a do-over next year.
I'll do a do-over next year. So we're looking forward. We're going to try to do something for fall break. Just the two of us. Which kind of comes into our custody agreement thing. When they're little, they go by the custody agreement. Mm-hmm. But my child did ask me, at what point does she not have to participate? And in Tennessee, it's age 14. In Alabama, it's 14 too. My new custody agreement says it's supposed to go along with the child's schedule. So I told her that gives you a lot of flexibility, and if you have plans, or we have ball games, or you have playoffs, or you have
a show,
that's your that's your schedule, and you get to make the decision with that. I think because we're in a different age group, going back to school for my child is a little different because she is independent now,
mm-hmm.
especially with her driver's license. So I think I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You're going to have a much different year with the driver.
I know.
It changes everything. It's awesome.
Well, my son is almost at the age where I can leave him home alone, I feel like we're close. We're getting there. Which will make a difference just prep-wise for me, because a lot of times he just complains a lot if I have to run an errand.
Right.
Like I had to run to Hobby Lobby today after work because we've got a camp performance tomorrow, and I need to go grab a prop, and he was like, is this the only store we have to go to? Do we need to do anything else? I'm like, okay, these are the things that I accomplish better when I'm alone.
You need to start
Right.
living it with me.
Yeah.
You can sit here. Yeah.
Go. But I've also, so he's been in this camp with me these last 2 weeks, and he's really at the age where he's coming into his own. And I think that, like, looking at this year, I'm about to see him really step into who he's beginning to actually be. Do you know what I mean?
He's beginning
Yeah,
to
that's
mature into his
exciting.
own person.
Yeah, it has been really fun. I've never been in charge of an activity that he was involved in extracurricularly like that, but I'm in charge of this one because he's at the camp at the school where I teach. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where this year goes for him. So anyway,
Yeah, he's beginning to grow up.
yeah, he is. I don't mind. I think a lot of people get, like, I'm not nostalgic about it. I think a lot of people get emotional about it, and I'm not. I just am like, look at that, how fun.
Yeah, I wasn't really emotional about. I was not emotional about kindergarten or any of that. I did get emotional when they drove away from me for the first time because they were no longer trapped in the car with me. You know what I mean? It wasn't that it was. I no longer heard all of the things that were going on in their lives because they weren't trapped in a little bitty car with me going to and fro places. So I didn't get that time with them that I had.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, I have a fun story about that. So the day that my daughter got her driver's license, she had to go get varsity cheer pictures. And I stood out and watched her drive away, and she sort of waved, and I waved, and I went back in, and the school's not that far from my house. So about 5 minutes later, I get I'm okay. And I was like, oh. And then I went up to the school because I wanted to get my pictures too, and I had to sign the little slip for the, whatever it's called,
the program
for football. And so I walked up, and I said, thanks for texting me. She said, you should have seen your face. I knew you didn't feel comfortable. I actually made it on my first trip. I was like, thank you. Your mother really appreciates that.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's fun. But I think this year is a lot of good changes for her. She's kind of come into her voice too. She's taken steps forward too about this, and she's had enough counseling that now she has stated her feelings about meeting girlfriends, and she has let her dad know how she feels about things, which is kind of big for a girl.
Yeah, she's setting boundaries
with
with
their
her dad.
She's got some good boundaries going, and she, I think she's had enough therapy now that I don't know that your son has done this or that your kids did this, Bonnie, but she's had a lot of repressed memories. Like, she just has not wanted to think about it, and so she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we had time in the car. I took her down to her vacation with her sorority group. We went down 2 days early, and she came up with a lot of things and had a lot of questions because now she's remembering things. And sometimes we have found in the past that she remembers things
differently
that
than they really
actually
were.
happen. I think I told you.
She has like a Disney memory.
She does. And the funny thing is, I read to my kids every night.
Right.
Before they went to bed. So she said, I just remember my dad reading to me every night. And my son was with me, and we looked at each other, and we were both like, She goes, wait, that's not right. And we were like, no. That's not exactly how it happened. And she doesn't remember. My son used to come across the hall, and we would do voices for her. Because, she's so much younger than he was. And she has no memory of that. Isn't that funny? I just think that that's such a
My sister,
weird thing that you can repress memories to the point that you don't
even the good
remember.
ones.
Even the good ones.
But see, my daughter said that. She
Like
said
all
she
of them.
doesn't really remember a whole lot about her life before middle school.
one of my sisters doesn't remember our childhood.
Right. And it's how, I think it must be how children are dealing with the trauma that was in the home.
Yeah. The divorce and everything.
Yeah.
And,
They just kind of lock it away and they don't have to look at it.
And she had some interesting things to say about, y'all always fought. I said, we never fought, baby. I mean, like, we had a few discussions that got a little heated, but we tried to, well, I refused to fight. So I just wanted it to be
Calm.
for my children. So whenever they were out of the house or spend the night or whatever, then we would have discussions. But I can only name like 3 times that we actually had any kind of words in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so funny what they think they remember. It's
Yeah.
Well, it's like
It's
they're
kinda
feeling
interesting.
the gap, the questions they have, they start filling the gaps with the most logical scenario.
Right.
Mom and dad must have gotten divorced because they had all of these huge fights. So now I remember fights that weren't real and that's not why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like, is she
very-
just filling
I mean,
things
it's
in?
kind of I don't know how many studies are out there, but I would like to read a couple of them because it's just been
Yeah.
very interesting and very eye-opening for both my children to tell me what they remember about our house.
Mhm.
And it's
yeah,
just
and what they're
very
growing up.
interesting. Like, she has very few memories of the actual house. And she was born and lived there until she was, well, we moved here when she was like 11. So, I mean, that's an awful long time not to have a huge stockpile of memories from your childhood.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think that's funny. But I think she is now moving forward and she's trying to ask good questions and she wants answers to certain things and she's very careful how she asks them and I think she's kind of figuring out how to make her path,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Well, and that's interesting because I know you were probably really guarded about what you actually reveal to her because I think we all kind of have a let the ex-husband out themselves.
That has been my
Sort
theory
of
the whole time.
scenario.
My thing in
That
life
was
is
mine.
for anybody, but
Yeah.
especially my ex-husband, is if you give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves. That's
Yeah.
what I go by. And I don't think I ever had to say anything. I didn't want to say anything bad because that's their only fault. You know,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
only fault that they have.
Well, and then it'll just turn it around.
My thing is like, if my child asks me a direct question, I'm not going to lie to him.
Oh no,
Oh,
my
no.
children know I give
But-
them an honest
but-
answer whether they want to
But
hear it
I'm
or
not. There's a lot of things that I don't
Yeah.
tell him or
No.
don't
Yeah.
say
And
in front
he's
of
too
him.
young.
Well, he's
and
very
some
young.
of them are
Yeah.
not age appropriate
Right.
anyway. And I think I was telling you, Bonnie, some of her questions I answered thoroughly because it was on point for her age.
Yeah.
And some of the things I said, we don't really need to talk about that until you're much older.
Yeah.
And you can understand the things that go on in a marriage and those
Right.
kind of things. And she took that well, but I've never sugarcoated anything.
See, and I
They
didn't
asked
with
me, but I also do not just give the information. I will give it if they ask me a question, but I'm not gonna say anything negative or,
yeah.
if they ask me a direct question, I answer them.
Yeah. That's how I've kind of.
Well, and that's the way I
started to-
did with their dad before he passed but he was an alcoholic and I needed them to understand how dangerous that was.
Well, you had
Yeah.
safety concerns with them riding in
very
the car
safety
and things
concerns,
like that.
yeah.
And, it depends on the age of your child too, and it depends on the child if they're going to tell you or if they're going to protect the person.
Yeah.
My daughter was very protective of her dad, and the only reason I knew of some of the things that went on when he was over there is because I have friends that were neighbors, and I also had a friend that was a policeman that got called to the house a couple of times when he was not doing well. So I kind of could keep tabs that way, but once they're over there and
There's not really
you
anything
can't
you can
do
do.
any kind of custodial interference. I mean,
Seeing that, I never really had to deal with that, so
that's really hard. I mean, it's
very
hard.
thankful.
Yeah.
Very
If you-
thankful.
If you know that something's not quite right,
Yeah, there's
now I'm not talking about how they fix their breakfast or all that, but I mean something's really not right.
Yeah, it's safety
Then
issues.
It's, yeah,
Safety
then
issues.
it's really hard to kind of not be the mama bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because legally you can't when they're in their
No.
custody per the agreements.
No, yeah.
That's really hard.
I would love to. I've had a friend who, like, she's my oldest best friend at this point. And I think twice in our lives, she has called me and said, I could die tomorrow. That's how organized I am. And I'm like,
I used
God,
to be
I would
like
love,
that,
I would
but I'm
love
not
to get
really
to
that.
to that spot where, like,
That is
everything
not
was cleared
as
out.
important to me right now. Now for work, I try to be uber organized because it's other people's lives that I'm dealing with, and for my children, I try to be organized. Some of the things, I've had to let go, just from a timing perspective and a prioritizing kind of thing. But I still make my list so that I know kind of where I am and things. I think we haven't really gone into the financial part about budgeting for your future and making sure you're taking care of yourself. So, I think one time we need to do a thing on finance and budgeting and planning.
Yes,
for
and I have us
futures.
an excellent guest person to come for that too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yay, that'll be good. Because I think that has a lot to do with it. I think the three of us are uniquely blessed in that we had an education. We knew that we could get a job. We didn't have to go through that first part of what am I going to do? What am I qualified? Do I have skills?
Right.
We didn't have to
we
start
already had
over and
that.
reinvent
Yeah.
the wheel.
No, we didn't. But I think a lot of people struggle with that, and a lot of people do not get divorced because of finances,
Yeah.
because they can't see how it's going to work.
I didn't for a long time.
Well, I know, but
time.
a lot of people,
Yeah.
that's part of, trying to take care of yourself. You have to realistically know not what you want, but what your need is, and how to budget and how to make a list to go forward and be very practical, which that's not fun, but
Right.
you have to do it, because if you don't do it, then you're not really looking after your kid either.
Well, and to be honest, I know that I actually engaged in an escape plan. So 10 years, when I realized what my options were, my ex was either going to die of a heart attack because he had just had a heart attack, or alcoholism, or we were going to get divorced. I was so worried about all of that I was like, okay, I renewed my teaching certificate. I found a job. I had my own insurance. I was able to purchase a car. I was like, okay, I now have something as a foundation that I can live on my own. And so every day after that I stayed, I did it because it was a choice.
Yeah.
It wasn't an I have to. So I put myself in a position that I was able to choose to stay and continue working on my marriage until I chose to end it. And I think, Lauren, your move from one school to another was an escape
That's what
plan.
I was going to say is I had an escape plan that I wasn't cognizant of.
Yes.
But I think you knew that in the back of your brain, you knew that you had to make some kind of move. It could be
if I was gonna be a single mom, I had to be closer to my kid.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened. Like I was divorced within a year of the move to a job that was closer to home. Because I could pick him up from school, and I could.
You could be, if he throws up in the middle of the day, you're 5 minutes away to get him. Yeah.
So that was.
But
huge.
I think it all starts with, you have to realize where you are in it and start taking, even if it's little baby steps, like you got your teaching certificate.
Yeah.
I got all my CEUs.
You made sure your nursing was up to date.
My was in dust, like literally. And I had to, it was inactive, and I had to get out, and then, it goes by however many years you hadn't used it. I had to get 120 CEUs. And I had no money. And and then people would show me, this is a free one, this is then all my nursing friends would start wheeling in some free CEUs, and y'all, it took a long time. It was like I was studying for an exam, like seriously. Before I got it.
But you had something to fall back on and do that. Just
but
like I could renew my teaching certificate.
Now, I don't know what we could say to the ladies that are starting with, they have to go back and look and see what kind of skills they have. But you really need to put all, what you have experience doing, what you're good at, if you're a people person, that kind of thing. I mean, you really have to go back and look at all that.
Well,
we were very blessed that we didn't have to do that.
I'm going to
Really.
plug the community college system here for just a second.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you find yourself in that situation and you need a quick skill to do something, community college is affordable, and you can get so many different certifications there. I mean,
there are groups. Like, there is a women's organization that my mother's a part of that's called P, as in Paul, PEO, and their whole existence is to fund women to go back to school. So they have very low percentage loans, and they also have different like scholarship kind of things and grants to give to people, to women specifically, to go back to school. So that's, I mean, you can find those kinds of things if you need to go back. That's
great. And I think, okay, this is probably off topic, but I was thinking when I was going through divorce, there are so many women out there that they sign the divorce thing and then they're just left to pick up the pieces. They have kids that are dependent on them. They have maybe low skills, no skills, or they didn't ever get an education. There's a huge gap in our society that's not being fulfilled, and I'm glad to know that organization is out there, because you think about it. Most women end up with the children.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have to have childcare.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when you have children, you have to have childcare,
or they have to go with you.
So or you have to have the perfect work at home job, which there are some out there. But I mean, think about
the work at home
jobs.
You have to have a computer and reliable internet.
Yeah.
There's still things that go with that.
Things that go with it. My thing is, I think there are a lot of women out there that are barely making it because they got this divorce, and it is the best thing for them to get out of a bad situation, or and it's the best thing for their kids. But then they're like, the legal system goes to a certain point, and then if they don't get alimony, if they don't get child support, or if they're supposed to get it and the guy doesn't pay, then you've got a whole segment of the population that's, we talked about anxiety. I can't imagine having that kind of fear and anxiety regularly.
Mm-mm.
Like, how am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to do this? There are only so many programs, and I don't know that everybody gets the help that they want. And I think there's a huge gap in, how we see women with children, single women with children.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Or not even how we see them. Do we just assume that they're doing great and they're taking care of it because it's a woman?
Yes, because you assume they're supposed to.
Well, unless they tell you, but that's a whole nother thing. Unless they...
I'm saying that's just what you assume. Yeah. You just assume everything's great because a woman will take care of everything.
I saw a TikTok, and this girl was saying that her husband took the kids out on a grocery errand or something, and that while he was out, he had 3 people compliment him on spending time with his children and taking them out like with him. And she said, I take my kids grocery shopping all the time. Nobody's ever said that to me. So, can we talk about this? And that's part of it. It's part of the...
That you just assume that a woman is going to take care of it all.
Yeah, the stereotype that, the women and children go together.
Well, but also, I want, we do need to acknowledge that means that society means that we are women. We can do anything. All right, so I think we started this with...
Yeah, we started with how do we do... We really... This was one of the largest rabbit holes we've ever...
So we like to get off topic, and that's okay.
But it's hard if you're going to make a list of how you want to go forward, and you don't have a foothold.
Yes,
that's
true.
Forward, so depending on where you are,
I just think we can put all this out there, but if we're not talking to an audience that has
already has things
together,
audience, just be flexible because we are.
I do believe that is the key to life.
If you know where you want to go.
It's just baby steps.
I think we should call this episode "Moving Forward and Stuff."
Done.
And things. Moving forward and things.
Side notes on the way while you're moving forward. I don't know. I think it's really hard. I almost feel like even if you're making a list to move forward, I know we've all experienced this. You have days where you feel like you've taken 5 giant steps backward,
Well,
because it's just not going to work out, and you just have those days.
yeah. And that's funny you said that, because I have a colleague, so I have a lot of plates that I juggle. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how to juggle them. Like, I know what they look like in the air. I know how to catch them. I know how to serve them.
Yeah.
If one of the plates goes awry, everything else comes crashing down, and it messes up everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to a colleague about this. I said, you know that you're like that too. And she's like, yeah, everything is perfectly balanced. And I have a lot on my plate. I have a lot. But as long as I know where it's going, I can keep it up there. But one thing can mess up all the things, you know. And it's been true lately. I'll have the one little thing that just sets my schedule completely off, and that's when I get behind where I need to be. You know, it's not because I didn't have things laid out in my brain that, you know.
Okay, see, I feel like my whole life is that way. Like my whole life just kind of like, it's like running a classroom.
Yeah.
So you plan the perfect lesson, you start teaching it, and right in the middle you look at their faces like deer in the headlights and go, they don't get it at all. And like you're totally having in the middle of it to just go do a 180 and start heading in a different direction because you can't actually get where you were planning to go.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of my life just functions that way anyway. I'll come home and have all of these grand designs of getting in the studio, and instead I clean the house, or I've got to do this or do that.
Well, what happens is I'll have this like list of priorities of things that need to get done next, and just something weird will happen and I'll have to swap it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, so I don't know. Did you ever have 7 Habits training? Has everybody done 7?
Yeah.
I have done 7 Habits training so many times. I've been trained to be a 7 Habits trainer. That kind of thing. I know how to choose my big rocks.
Yeah.
And through the course of the day, it is so hard to stick.
Yeah.
To your big rocks, especially when. So for me, one of my big rocks is really pushing my art. I'm working on that. But then a really big rock is, I don't know, working for a living.
Yeah. Going to work.
Yeah, those kinds of things. And that, you know, that takes up a lot of brain space. And then I have kids. My daughter's home right now, which I love, but you know, that's more time there. So it just keeps getting pushed. That rock just keeps getting pushed back. So I don't know how to stay focused on that and keep my ADHD brain moving in the right
I
direction.
make the best plan that I can. And this is a whole new me, because I used to be so type A. And don't laugh, all those people that know me. I used to be super type A. I still have those tendencies. But now, I just feel like I need to be like water. I just need to
go with the flow.
Do the best plan I can and just float. No, like I'm just floating along. And just letting, you know, life take me where I need to do and do what I need to do. Now, I fight it all the time. My type A comes out and I want to swim, you know, over here or over there, but my life is a lot better when I do that, and I do recognize that, and I do fight that type A tendency to try to have it all mapped out and all, you know, in an order that I think makes sense to me. But what I found out is that's not how it always happens. And then you always run into those days where you have like that, poor me, I'm divorced, I'm doing all this, I'm really trying to do all this, and something doesn't work out, and you're thinking, why did I spend all this time doing this if it's not going to work out in the end? So,
well, I got the past week, so I had a lovely couple of weeks there where I traveled and did those things that feed my soul, and then I came home and had a bout of, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you just, I guess, just have, it's like that horrible, stupid, no good, very bad wheel of grief that just, even though I'm 4 years out, I'm 2 years out from my ex-husband passing away, you know, I'm several months out from the relationship that ended, all of this, but it's still, it'll cycle back around.
Oh yeah, it does.
And snag me, and it's like, I thought I was done with you, and it just rears its head, and I have to, you know, just gotta remember, I just gotta keep moving through it. It's a lot of, when I get in that space, it's a lot of self-talk. that I have to remind myself, because it's so easy to go down that woe is me hole, and instead I have to refocus on those things that I really want out of life and the things that are really great about where I am instead.
Yeah, I do that too. And I think I texted you the other night. I think I had a bad day. I was like, I just need to go to sleep. Like, I just need to close the book on this one and get some rest. Because a lot of mine is when I'm overtired.
Overtired, yes. When you're overtired and you don't realize you are.
I think I talked to you Thursday night.
I was like, I have to go to bed right now.
I can't function.
Oh, no. I went home. Was that opening night?
I think it was Thursday night. Was it Wednesday night or Thursday night that I talked? I think it was Friday.
It was
Friday during the day.
It was Friday night. I went home. My boyfriend was in my plane. He came home with me, and I sat on the couch, and I said, "I'm just gonna lay here like this," and I went to sleep. And he was like, "No, we gotta come on," and so he put me to bed, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. I cannot be awake right now." He's like, "It's okay. Go to bed. And I'll see you later." I'm like, "I am very sorry." So I woke up the next day and I was like, "I am so sorry that I fell asleep on you." He was like, "No, man, that means you needed to go to sleep. Go to sleep."
Yeah,
I get in the habit where I do too much, and then I'm like, I'm no good to anybody.
I've been working this kids camp, so my hours are wonky because I do theater, but I've been working this kids camp this week, which means that I'm like 9 to 4 generally.
Oh yeah. And
typically this summer I've been like afternoons and evenings till 10. So my body's like, what are we doing? And like last weekend it was I was at the theater till 11 every night. So I'm like way thrown off and not quite recovered anyway. But I've been in bed by 10:30 twice this week, I think. Like solidly asleep by 10:30
for my lunch period.
Yeah.
Okay, this week.
Beth, what was it that you told me? Was it today or yesterday that you said that that you found something that sort of said that perhaps you're just healing from trauma?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I read an article about healing from trauma.
That you're not depressed. It's a part of the healing.
I read an article, and I can't remember where I read it.
You didn't send me the article. You just sent me your thoughts.
I've been traveling a lot. So I read this article that said, do you think you're depressed after your divorce? And because a lot of people think that they go through depression after divorce. And then, and especially, after the dust settles. Yeah. And you kind of get into your life and you know that it's going well, but you have this little, like you're tired and you can't think and all the things that I'm doing when I'm overtired. And I read this thing that said when you get over trauma, the actual part of healing, you're doing so much work that it kind of looks like what people would think of as
depression.
That's interesting. You're tired. You kind of feel like you move through your day like you're
out of
in water. Like it's just muffled, and then you can't think clearly, and you second guess all your.
I feel like that a lot.
Yeah. So, but it said you're here. It's supposed to be a good sign that you're moving through your trauma. You have to go through that period of kind of
that's interesting
to get through your trauma. And so when I read it, I was like, oh, look, see, I never thought I was depressed. I just thought things are just, am I depressed? Because look at me, I have low energy, and I used to be a huge high energy person. And, things tire me out. Like I said, I took a nap every day this week for lunch. There you go. And I'm not a napping person. The only time I nap is when I'm sick. And I was like,
I'm not. Me too.
Keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
But but I think part of that grief cycle, I think all three of us can say we had trauma from marriage, the divorce, that we needed to get over. And so I really can see that every once in a while, even unconscious, we are still healing emotionally from that. Even, I know, Lauren, you're in a very happy place. But I'm sure that it's sometimes, you still, that doesn't mean you're not still having to deal with.
Well, yeah, I still grieve the loss of the family unit. I don't grieve the loss of the person I was with.
And the dream of
the dream.
Of what all that would look like. I do, But then I am in a moment of embracing a big love in my life.
Right.
And then also what my life can be now that I
Are free.
I'm free because, and you know, I think we've talked about this. I was so much lonelier in my marriage than I ever have been.
I was
post-marriage.
lonelier in my marriage than I am now,
Yeah.
even on my lonely days.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird that you
Yes.
said that? Because I think that's a
So much
big
lonelier.
thing.
Oh,
Like,
that's true.
like
Yeah.
I, because now I have the freedom to, like, I mean, yes, I have a boyfriend, but even on days that I don't see him or hang out with him, a friend will call and say, "Can I come over?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And we talk, or like we're a very social neighborhood, so there's people around us a lot. But there are days lately that I'm like, if I could just get a night to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I feel much more content in what that part of my life looks like after divorce. And the bit, like we've talked about this too, but I don't want to leave my house. Like sometimes I don't even want to go to my office because I don't want to leave my house because I'm happy there. So it's just a different.
Well, see, and I think, and I'm great. This summer, I am so much better because my daughter's home.
Yeah.
And she and
she's
I are
like your
very
bestie.
social.
She's your bestie,
yeah,
yeah.
She and I, well, you know, we had the vacation together and all of that. It was great. You know, it's just, we have these conversations every day. And so when she leaves to go back to school, I'll be on your porch a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm going to need, like, I'll need more people in my life. And I know that. So, but anyway, that'll be my trauma when she goes back.
I just thought that was interesting because I have never thought of myself as a depressed kind of person.
No, me neither.
But it makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
You know, as a nurse, when I'm looking at those symptoms, I'm thinking,
But you know, it makes so
Yeah.
much sense that we would have healing left to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because part of mine, we've talked about that before. You know, when you're in survival mode, that's completely different than just in regular time living mode. You don't let your guard down at all, and that's exhausting.
Yeah.
To do year after year after year. And I don't know if I told you this. You know, I have an official diagnosis of post-traumatic.
PTSD.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
From your mother?
No, which is hilarious to me. Well, I think it's hilarious because you would think
That would have been your first trauma.
No. And the funny thing is, I don't even know if I should say this. You can cut it out. When we had decided that we would try again to, you know, fix our marriage, and we were in the same space, I always had this like startle reflex. If he would reach over during I would have the startle thing.
Like a don't touch me.
I started having
fear
that.
of touch
he
me.
would-
That's what I had.
He would get so angry at it. And I mean, he was a doctor.
Yeah.
And I would say, this is my diagnosis. Even if I told him this is my diagnosis and we're working on this in therapy because I didn't want to take anything and I didn't really want the diagnosis, you know, I'm kind of hard-headed. And so I would do behavioral things on my own, but he would get upset with it. And I was thinking he could have all the trauma.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get what he wanted, you know, he would cry over his girlfriend and stuff. And I had to watch that. And then...
That's why you had the trauma.
And then I actually had a diagnosis and he wouldn't recognize it. And so even when I was stressed out and traumatized, I still didn't get support.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I think I am finally being able to like just breathe, feel all the feelings, not worry about, you know, my kids are grown. I don't have to worry about them watching me do these feelings because they're not around much. And I don't have somebody else watching me, a spouse in the house watching me do it. And I think I have that freedom to just be, exist, feel all my feelings, and get it out of my system.
But you've also given yourself permission to rest. And
That's
to
true.
miss things that you normally wouldn't miss.
That's true.
For
That is-
yourself. You are taking care of yourself in ways that you've never given yourself permission to take care of yourself
true.
before. Which I think is really cool.
That's true. That's why
Good
I
job.
love y'all. Y'all tell me you're doing a good, Beth. You're getting a gold star because you're taking a nap.
That happened to me though. The like
The startle reflex.
yes, and I like now that I'm remembering it, it made him really upset. But like
because it's like you fear them.
it is.
It's not really that. It's just I would just be so. I was
It
on
was fear for me.
edge all
Fear
the
for me, for
time.
sure.
Yours was fear,
Yeah.
but mine, I was so on edge all the time that when I would finally give myself permission to relax and go to sleep, and then he would, startle me or come to bed or, because we had totally different schedules, I was like, it immediately kicked back on that, like, I have to be alert and attentive and, I don't know. It was the weirdest thing that I went through. And it's so funny because that was long ago. I've been divorced 7 years. So,
I still have little.
It's just finally now getting where I can just talk about it and it's okay and it's normal and.
I still have. So my ex-husband had a lot of rules that we weren't allowed to break, and one of them was like watching TV in bed. No watching TV in bed. And I still feel when I watch TV in bed like I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing because of that. Isn't that crazy?
You just get.
I love watching TV in bed.
You get conditioned.
It's one of my favorite things.
So you don't embrace the rebellious feeling that brings.
No, it still makes me feel a little. I mean, it's the PTSD.
Like you're going to the principal's office.
It makes me feel like I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Still,
like when you hear your child get up, you're like turning it off so you don't get caught. Like it's
No, it's just like I shouldn't have this on because what if I fall asleep to it and then it's on all night? Then I'm like, stop. That's not your rule. You used to do this as a kid. I used to
wake
watch.
up and turn it off.
What was that show with Goldie Hawn with the little Laugh-In? When I was a little kid, like second grade, I had this tiny TV in my bedroom, and I used to fall asleep to Laugh-In all the time. I mean, I love falling asleep with a TV on. There's something relaxing about it. It may not be good for you, but I don't care.
Oh, I fall asleep watching The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Like if I'm truly just all in my feelings, I'll pop in The Great Gatsby and let F. Scott Fitzgerald, talk me to sleep. I just go to bed with my favorite author.
I don't have a TV in my bedroom.
You don't? Beth has a rule.
Well, because I'm a little hyperactive, and so in order to I'm like a baby. I have a bedtime routine.
Yeah.
And I cannot go to sleep without my bedtime routine. I turn off the TV. I stitch or read. I go and take a bath. I play music. Top 10 cello. Anyway, my children laugh at me endlessly. But it's like
type A.
But it's how I can relax.
But it's part of how you're taking care of yourself.
But if you think about how when you have a baby, you have a nighttime routine, even when you have small children.
But the research I've seen, that's what's healthy, is to be able to do that.
And
is the healthy thing.
It gets me, because people don't realize when you're on your screen or on your TV, your brain is active.
Right.
I have to have not an active brain to go to bed. And when I couldn't sleep, I would always keep a pad by my bed because, and my children have done this, before you put them to bed. Like everything about the day that when they were little, they did that. I have a pad by my bed that I write down all the things that are bothering me, like what I need to do in the morning, all those things, like, did I charge for that phone call for so-and-so? Did I, all those little things that when you finally get still, you're like, oh, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I write it down and then I can go to sleep.
I do that at night in my brain. Yeah. And I'm like, I have to do that first thing in the morning. I have to, that's when I make my checklist. But you can
cut it. See, I can't cut it off. I would have to get up and do it before I could go to bed.
I got
That's how my little crazy brain
now
works.
the things that bother me that I'm having a hard time dealing with, I will think about at night, hoping that my brain just kind of, through my sleep, comes up with a solution. Or makes me feel better about it. If I don't write it down, I have
nightmares.
I have to write it down. I put it in the notes in my phone. And then I'll look at it and see what I have to do the next day.
But I just have to do those things to relax myself. And if I don't sleep well.
Yeah, see, that's great. You have a routine because everything I read about how to be more relaxed and how to get more rest and how to feel better in the day is you need a nighttime routine and a morning routine. And I suck at both of those.
I have both of those, but I'm going to say, my focus this year was my 8 hours of sleep and learning how to rest, and that it was okay to rest because somehow that flower got handed out in life and I didn't get one.
Beth Burns was absent this day.
She was absent. She didn't learn that you needed to rest. So that is my thing that I've been working on this year, trying to get sleep, making sure that I rest, listening to my body when it's tired instead of just pushing through. Mm-hmm. So I think that has been good, and I've been pretty good at it.
That's good. So after the epic number of shows is over, again, I get a little bit of a reset, and I'm going to really reset. So I'm kind of excited about it. But I'm giving myself the weekend. My sister's birthday is on Saturday. Oh, fun. So I'm going to have fun. And
so you have a happy coming up.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we're just going to go swimming and stuff. But
my child is coming home from her. She's been gone for a week.
Oh, gotcha.
So got a little taste of the empty nest for a week.
Wait, where is she?
She's at the beach.
Oh, gotcha.
With her sorority.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So got a taste of the empty nest for a week. It wasn't bad. I'm happy to say I got one little arched eyebrow. It wasn't bad.
Wait.
I think I will be able to do this.
Well, I still think it sucks, but good for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about it. Well, not excited, but you know what? My brain is finally going, what do you want to do, Beth?
Yeah.
What do you want to do this afternoon? Not who do you have to drive around? What carpool do you have to do?
You just have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's been an eye-opening experience.
I saw one of my daughter's friends today, and she's like, it's going to be so sad to go back to school. I mean, I'll really miss my mother doing my laundry. And I was like, I've not done a stitch of my daughter's laundry. My poor children, I guess they're raising themselves, so she's not going to miss that at all. Like, what will my daughter miss? Nothing. I don't.
No, it is
do
good.
Anything for her.
It is very
I do occasionally cook, but for the most part, they just run themselves.
Yeah.
So
that's a good thing, though.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, would y'all like to wrap up?
Sure.
This has just been all over the place.
Yeah.
Aren't we awesome?
It's because we're going to call this, I think we should call this episode, We Haven't Met in a Minute, and This Is What We Needed to Say to Each Other.
Just so long as the audience understands, we did pregame for about an hour before we actually started recording.
No, we did.
We did. Debrief.
We debriefed. It's been a second. We've been in different countries, different cities, all over the place.
Different shows.
Different shows.
Okay, so, all right, ladies, what are y'all doing this week to live a life you love?
I am. So my sister's birthday, like I said, is on Saturday. So we're having a party for her. That'll be fun. And then next week, I get a few days of nothingness, and then I'm going to the beach.
Oh,
so I just get to
so jealous,
detax and get my life in order, and then I get to go to the beach for the weekend. So
I'm jealous. That's great.
It's my first little summer vacay.
What about you?
I am stitching a project right now, and I've got 2 that I need to kit for people. So that's my creative endeavor for this week. So that's about it. And I think my son might be coming home.
Oh, that would be nice.
So we'll see.
Well, that's okay. Well, and I guess I am looking forward to a weekend at home and just kind of get my house put back together on the inside and enjoy a weekend with my daughter. She should still be here, and I just gonna be glad to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm getting rest at my house.
I was gone for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
so it felt like forever.
It has felt like forever.
Yeah, I was gone for a very long time, and it was all travel, and it was walk 5 to 11 miles a day kind of travel, and so even though I've been home for a week or so, or 2 weeks, I guess it'll be almost. I really just still feel like I'm getting my sea legs back, I guess, or whatever. I'm just kind of getting my groove back, and you need to get everything kind of back in order and in a way that I really like it in my home. So I'm going to enjoy just being here.
Nice.
I'm going to enjoy this weekend too.
Good.
Yay.
So, yay, ladies.
Good to see y'all.
Good to see
Cheers.
you.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, you got fancy with your blackberry. Your
Blackberry
champagne.
in my champagne.
You're extra, girl.
I am so extra.
You are extra.
Thank y'all for joining us for Champagne Sunday.
See you next week,
See you
girls.
next week. Yeah, cheers.
Have a good week.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.